That's how a jury works, right?
Is it though? I think it's how it should work.
No, a jury is supposed to be unbiased. They literally will select a jury in a trial situation based off of peers of people who will not look at them for what most other people know them as. They say, "Hey, just look at
the
this
goal.
situation from an outside perspective. Like, try to be."
Do you think that juries get it right?
Nah, I don't think so. No.
So do you really think that that's their intent? I never thought about that.
I've been to jury
Is that
duty.
true though? They look for people because I don't know.
Yeah.
They look for people.
Jury is supposed to be specifically for an unbiased audience. They want people that are unfamiliar with anything relating to a case
but I think that's the attempt
to
right?
look in on it.
So
Yeah.
if someone said, if they reach out to me and said, "Hey, you're needed for jury duty," and I say, "What?" Like, okay, like, "Oh, there's a murder trial," and I go, "Oh, I actually like research murder a lot. I don't think I'd be a good fit."
No, okay, you're looking at it on that technical aspect. It's supposed
I
to
guess
be.
how do they know if I'm biased
Okay,
or not?
who is the most famous person that you think most people in the world would ever have heard of?
O.J. Simpson.
Most people in the world?
Yeah,
Okay,
he's pretty famous all over the
why
world.
do we know? How do we know OJ? Football or murder trial?
Well, I know him as both, but I think
Okay.
statistically most people know him for the murder case.
Okay, let's say O.J. Simpson is this massive, like, giant football star. He's just the biggest name in football. He's a star. His stats are up, like, through
He
the
was
roof.
a star, but he wasn't the
Yes.
biggest name.
But then all of a sudden he gets caught up in a situation with the law. He killed somebody, or he was accused of killing somebody.
Isn't that
And
the
then all of a
perfect
sudden,
example
this-
of how you can't find an unbiased jury?
Exactly. Well, so hold on. So this whole thing starts to unfold. Next thing you know, O.J. Simpson's on trial, and they're like, "We need some people here to judge this situation with an unbiased perspective." So they say, "Excuse me, sir. We need you to be in jury. Like, you're being selected for jury. Have you ever heard of our defendant?" He's like, "Yeah, that's O.J. Simpson, the freaking football star. I love that team." Well, this guy loves O.J. Simpson. He loves the team. He loves the player. So all of a sudden, now he's being accused of murder. So, sir, did he commit this murder based off the evidence that you saw? Well, in his mind, he's like, "Well, I love this guy. This guy is my football star. Like, he's my football hero." So, I can't see that. I can't see that, because he's blinded by his football star and not the fact that this person is indeed a human being who is capable of doing something like murder.
Yeah.
So a jury is supposed to be selected by an unbiased audience. It's supposed to be like, "Hey, do you know this person? No? Great. Cool. You make the cut. Let's get you on to the next segment, and then we'll figure out if you have any opinions about hitting law enforcement officers in the face."
Yeah.
Like, they'll start tearing it down a little further. But a jury is supposed to be unbiased,
I get
which
that
is
that's the
difficult
attempt.
for, like,
But it's not really, because there's not really a way to be completely unbiased. Maybe I can be unbiased in the sense that I don't know who you are. I think that's the most they can get right. Maybe they don't even always get that one right. But I think the reality is, if I was abused by my father when I was a kid, and I'm on trial, and the first thing that comes out, like, "This is Kevin over here, and he's accused of abusing his child," I'm going to go, "Fuck that dude." Like, even if I might even afterwards go,
they
"You know what?
actually
Let's hear him out."
they will dismiss you. If
But
you
they
tell
won't
them,
know
like,
that.
"Hey, like, fuck that guy,"
My point-
they'll dismiss you. They'll say, "Hey, you're biased."
But I'm never going to say that. I'm saying about my thoughts.
That's what you're...
My point is...
Okay, in that
is
situation, you're
my
expected
point
to
is
be...
that you're right. The attempt is to have an unbiased jury, but in reality, there's always some bias because we all have lives and we all have something to compare it to. And even if I don't know that, even if it's day 27 of this trial, right, and they finally come out and say something like, "Oh yeah, like the killer wore glasses," and I'm like, "Fuck, man, I was abused by a dude in glasses. Fuck him." Like, I don't even know that sometimes. I just think that. My point is that there isn't really an unbiased jury. I think we do the best attempt we can at getting someone unbiased, but in reality, we all have biases, and whether we decide to admit them or not is different.
Doesn't that make everything flawed, though?
Yes, that's my point.
There is no consistency.
That's why I think when I asked you this original question was, what would you do to change it? The whole trial by jury thing, I don't like that. It's a jury of your peers that are supposed to be unbiased. Do you know any of your peers that are unbiased? Do you know any of your peers being people that you know, right? Mm-hmm. Or people in your community that are unbiased? People in our community of Southern New Mexico and Las Cruces are going to be biased against the similar city in fucking Utah that's maybe super white, or Wyoming or Iowa, wherever white people are from, Whitesville, like that. You know what I mean? There's going to be bias. The Hispanic community is going to be like, they don't understand. The white community is going to be like, they don't understand. It doesn't matter. There really isn't an unbiased, like, we're all biased.
Yep.
That's my point. The real progressive person that's trying to be better will go, hey, I know I'm biased about this. I acknowledge it, and I'm going to make a conscious effort to not be that. The worst scenario you can have is someone that doesn't even know they're biased and will convince you they're not. That's dangerous, because you can put someone in jail that doesn't deserve to be there, maybe, not that you had a trial, or you can let someone be free that doesn't deserve to be free. And so that's why I think we all need to look at ourselves and try our best to understand, hey, this isn't my thing. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe if we're all honest, we can go in and go, hey, you don't need to question me. I can tell you right off the bat I'm biased about these things, and I'm out. And maybe they'll let me go. Or maybe I can go, hey, I do have biases, but none of them pertain to this case. I think I'm good. I'm good to be on the jury. That'll never happen, but don't you think that'd be kind of cool if it could?
Yeah, I think it would be cool. But the human mind... All right, what am I trying to say here?
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Okay, when you think about biases and opinions, so we're all individuals, right? The whole world is full of people, and each one of those people are very unique. There's not one that's the same. So who's to say that this set, like, list of rules applies to everybody, right? So if you think about it, okay, let's talk about something that's not going to be terribly offensive to people. Let's talk about
do you have any biases?
The grammar police, right? You got people that you're scrolling,
social justice.
You're scrolling across social media, and you're scrolling through, and somebody says "your," and you're like, "That's your." What the frickin'
that doesn't bother me that much, because I think they're right.
But okay, but nevertheless, they're still passing a message to you,
mm-hmm.
and maybe they put the wrong apostrophe somewhere, but they still got the message across to you. So are they wrong? Yes, because somebody at some point in time who is a different human, who has their own individuality and their own way of doing things, said that, hey, we should make it this way. And this apostrophe should indicate that this word is this, and whatever. So, yeah, they set that rule, and then this person over here learns that rule, and that person over there learns it a different way.
Yeah.
And then they communicate with them, and they get it wrong. And this person's like, you suck at grammar. Like, you suck. Like, you can't even write correctly. And they're like, but you understood what I meant to say. So, universally, you were able to communicate, but you were trained to do that a certain way. Now the world is changing in a way where all the things that you and I thought were normal and were okay, they're changing now, right? I mean, that applies to so many things.
Definitely not grammar, though. That's pretty much
grammar is supposed to be a good like happy medium subject.
I get what you're saying. So what is we talked about a grammar now. Are you just referring to people that maybe do things that you don't agree with?
I'm saying that everybody's different, and what's going to end up making a difference is majority rule.
Yeah, I think that's part of the issue of what's going on now, which is the majority of people are on social media. So it's very easy to put out one thing that goes viral and it gains majority opinion because it's what you know. If I know zero about a subject, let's pick something random like coffee tables. If I don't know anything about the history of coffee tables, and someone comes up to me and says, I know about coffee tables, the best coffee tables are wooden. The ones that are stone are terrible because they warp. And you want the wooden ones because they don't warp. Now, if you really dive into that doesn't make sense to me because wood warps, not stone. But it doesn't matter. This person's an expert. They just said that. That's my only opinion I have. I know I don't have one. So I'm going to tell everyone I now meet that you need to get the wooden one, right?
Because it doesn't warp, yeah.
Yeah. So I would just say that, right?
But you're basing that off of somebody and not actual facts. You don't know the molecular structure of this table.
But my point is you sometimes take it
talking about,
so
like,
there's a social media post. A social media post that goes viral, you assume it's kind of facts, even though it's not. Now, if it's a person, you can kind of assume that maybe it's not. But let's say it's not. Let's say it's an actual website. It's an actual website about I don't even know, famous magazine that has a website, and they posted it. And so now I'm going around looking for this thing that maybe doesn't matter at all, or maybe is wrong. But what I'm saying is it's easy to put out an idea if you are a reputable source, or at least perceived that way, and then that idea will take off as a real one. And that's part of the issue is people don't. I like people that question it. On this podcast, anytime people
that's what the world needs.
when people go, hey, I don't know if I agree with that, or what do you mean by that, or like, but do you think about this? People that question me, I don't get upset about it. I don't think that, I don't like, I'm not that prideful to, I'm like, what, you're gonna ask me? I know. No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, wait, okay, that's, I consider that, because I enjoy that. And if you're wrong, I'll tell you you're wrong, and people get to decide whether they feel that. But to not speak about it, I think that needs to go away. You should speak up. You should say, hey, I don't agree with this. Like if someone asks me about that table and I go, hey, in my mind, I don't think fucking stone warps. So the person that told me get the wood one because it doesn't warp, I think that's silly, because if anything's going to warp, I think it should be wood. That should be my opinion. Maybe people go like, that's a good point. Like I think that I have the right to say that, and I think people should be thinking outside the box enough to not be stubborn enough to go, no, that site's way more reputable than you. I'm going to trust them.
But the mass majority of people will take sides based off of popularity.
Yes.
And what you're trying to tell me is that you encourage people to say, hey, not including popularity, like listen to the facts on this matter and have your own opinion, and then voice those opinions so people can have a chance to rebut or to have a discussion with you about it. So
I just think we don't ask enough questions. Can
so
you remember?
who's wrong? So who's right and who's wrong in a
The
situation?
wrong person
where
is the one who agree with something that they know nothing about.
I agree with you.
The
I do.
right
100%.
person, whatever their opinion is, the right person is the one that took the time to ask questions and do a tiny bit of research before you even remotely acknowledged it. And even when acknowledging it, you kind of admit that maybe you don't know everything.